Okay, hey guys. So, how to find your freedom number, how to overcome the anxiety of going from surviving so that you can actually do what is necessary to stabilize your business. So, my name is Felix, and this training video, what I'm going to be doing is the first step, the first thing that everybody need. Now, this concept of the freedom number, I came across it quite a number of years ago. Unfortunately, when I first came across it, I wasn't paying attention because I thought it was irrelevant to me. Boy, do I regret that decision. So many of you know my story. At some point in my life, I started a gym. I started a gym business. And on the final year of that gym business, I was going through a very hard time. I was waking up, having heart palpitations, all kinds of anxiety every single day because I don't know like what am I going to be doing to pay my employees, pay myself, put food on the table, pay my rent. I was in danger of being evicted. All of that stuff was happening in my life. My life was a constant, never-ending cycle of turmoil. Now, at that point in time, I encountered someone very special to me, and this person came. We were a course mate, and he brought up this idea again, which reminded me about the freedom number. But the difference is he managed to do it really, really well, and he convinced me of the importance and the necessity of doing something like that. And because of that, I want to bring him up again today to talk about this. Now, before I do so, why is it so important to me to find your freedom number, to find my own freedom number at the time? Was because at that point in time, when you're in survival mode, all kinds of stuff is going through your brain every single day. It also feels, I think it's actually not just a matter of feeling, I think it's a matter of fact that every single second counts. How we don't have time, pardon my French, we don't have time to fuck around. We have to do whatever it takes to bring the numbers in. Because before scaling, before stabilizing, we need to survive first. So because of that reason, one of the things that really, how do I put it, drains my bandwidth was actually not knowing what to do, not knowing what kind of numbers I need to be bringing in. And that got me stuck because there's a side of me which is constantly being in fear. There's a side of me which is constantly being worried, like, is this enough? Is this enough? Is this enough? Is this enough? So when my friend taught me this technique, when a friend showed me, look, he said, the first thing you need to do is know what is your survival number. You need to know how much money you need to make in order for you to just survive. And at that point in time, it's like, yeah, I already know, but actually I don't know. Because the number that I had in mind was the number that I need to make in order for me to maintain this lifestyle. And at that point in time, I was doing a lot of things because I was feeling bad. So I was spending a lot of money doing things to make me feel good, right? I think that kind of hits a lot of notes for a lot of you. So that was when he said, look, you don't need, like, you need to really find out how, just to survive, not about maintaining your lifestyle, just to survive, right? And from then onwards, it's a matter of sustainability, and then only from a matter of ideal. So the reason why I brought him up is because I think that he can do the job of explaining why is this important so much better than I did. It definitely changed how I spend my money, how I manage my business, and how I decide what is the financial goals that I want to pursue every single month. So with that being said, this person, his name is Suhu. He's one of my first mentors. He's benefited me a lot in my life, and I hope he can do the same for you through his sharing today. So Suhu, why don't you come out? Over to you. And the first thing I want to ask you, Suhu, is actually, like, what why is it so important that that someone knows their survival number and whatnot? Like, or actually, you know what is this concept of freedom number in your opinion?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. I think the first thing we want to understand is what causes stress, anxiety, especially in this current uncertain times, right? And the word itself that describes the time already gives us a picture, gives us a clue. It's the uncertain times. Uncertainty actually causes all the stress in our body because we don't know what to anticipate, we don't know what to expect. And because we don't know, our mind plays tricks on us and gives us all the fears and all the worst possible case scenarios that comes in. So the first thing we need to do to take control of our mind is to have certainty. Now, what kind of certainty do we need? Well, of course, there's so many other areas of certainty. Our health, for example, our relationship. But when it comes to finances, we need to have the certainty of number. We need to know where we are right now in order for us to really work on it. Now, what do I mean by that? Many people actually don't realize or don't know what they spend on, how much they buy, what do they use it on. So in their mind, they have a unclear picture, and just like any kind of fear, it generally appears bigger than what it really is.
Yeah,
in my
true.
journey, in my experience, I've gone within months. I've gone from making 50,000-60,000 a month to making nothing, and I suffered in that period of time, like completely lost, in my head, because I'm still thinking I need to spend that kind of money, I need to make that kind of money, and how, like just like you mentioned earlier, Felix, how much I need to make a month in order for me to pay the bills and all of that, and I was in a very massive negative spiral. I resorted to all kind of things to get out of that mindset. I resorted to feng shui, numerology, drinking, just chilling in front of the TV and just forgetting the world and all kind of things, right? But the fear and the uncertainty is always clouding the mind. And one day I sat down and I spoke to my mentor, and she reminded me of one of the first things I taught when I became a trainer many years ago. The first thing I taught was to get clear of your survival number. So in your terminology, it will be your freedom number. So at that time, when I sat down and I re-looked at my life and I wrote down exactly what I need in order to just survive, right? That allowed my mind to say, okay, now it's not that hard. Because whether we like it or not, most of us, if you really sit down and write out exactly what you need just to survive, all right, the number is not as scary or as big as most people imagine it to be. And then the second question she asked me was, what's the worst that can happen? And I sat down and I thought to myself, what's the worst that can happen if I don't have this survival number? Once I come to realization and acceptance of the worst that can happen, everything became clear. In J.K. Rowling's word of the bottom, right? Once you hit the bottom, there's nowhere else to go. But most people never hit the bottom because they don't come to realization of the survival number. They don't come to acceptance of the worst that can happen. Once we accept that, that becomes our bottom. That's the bottom already. The worst that can happen, that's your bottom.
I resonate so strongly with that because one of the most craziest things that I have experienced over the years, right, is sitting in front of somebody who's a dato and listening to this dato who have like a few houses, being afraid of his survival. That is the craziest thing ever. And I'm like, hey, some people are really homeless. Like, why are you with several houses and several cars, right? Afraid of survival? It's crazy. And one of the things I learned from you, because you're an NLP master trainer and I've been a part of your NLP class as well, is when someone is emotional, they cannot think straight, they cannot be rational. And in order for us to really get out of any rut, we have to make rational choices. So that hits very, very strongly for me. And there's a lot of people who I know is very, very afraid of their own survival right now, especially at the time of this recording. It is Malaysia's Independence Day, and yet many Malaysians are still not even financially independent. They are so dependent on certain parties to provide them with business. And I realize one of the things that you teach your mentees, because you also work with mentees who wants to become a corporate trainer, one of the first things you teach them is this idea of survival number, right?
Yep. Because a lot of times, if I ask any business owner, whether they're trainers or otherwise, right? Whenever I ask a person, like, what do you want to earn? What do you want to make? A lot of them tell me, I want to make this 50,000 a month, 30,000 a month. I want to be a millionaire. All of that is nice and great. But the question is why? And they can't come to their why because they don't even know where their start point is, right? So the survival number gives us that start point. It gives us, this is the bare bottom lah. Worst case scenario. I remember many conversations we had with yourself, right? Like in Malaysia, we can never go hungry because there's so many food kitchen. In fact, some food kitchen are so overflowingly abundant with food that they have to throw it away, right? And can you imagine a country where it's so abundant that our food kitchens have to dispose of food that are not eaten?
Yeah.
Right? So we can never go hungry in this country. But the question is that the lifestyle we can accept? Now, so our survival number is not like the worst case scenario, I sleep on the street, right? It's the worst case scenario I can accept. So at that juncture, when I was hitting my bottom, I realized my worst case scenario, I don't need an insurance. I don't need my saving plan. I don't need to invest in my, I don't need my Astro and, TV. I already have TV. I don't need, I stripped out all the things that was nice to have back to its real core. And that's the minimum I need to survive. And I realized all I need to do was to find a job that makes 5,000 a month, take home, and then I can survive, like just survive. And anything else over that, all of that became profit or bonus or nice to have.
Yeah.
So in Malaysia, many people actually need only 1,000 or 500 or 10,000, or depending on their lifestyle, depending on where they are in their life right now. But one thing is for sure, whatever lifestyle they're having right now, whether they earn more or less, the amount that they're going to make is going to be about the same. It's a really weird thing. You can make 8,000 and you may have nothing left. You can make 80,000 and you also still have nothing left, right? But it's how do you define that bottom line? And once you have that, it frees up your mind to focus. And then you can focus, okay, so how much do I need for my lifestyle now? And then we can focus, okay, how much do I really want? Then we can go somewhere, right? Then we can have proper planning.
Great. And what are some of the results? Like, you have a lot of mentees who follows this. Like, what are some of the results or the benefits that can happen beyond just being able to knowing the number and surviving?
Well, most of my in corporate training, for example, my mentees are, in fact, all of them have been able to meet six-figure annual incomes within 6 to 9 months of working in through the system, right? And it's nothing special about the framework. It's getting to know your number, knowing what you need to do, and then of course just go out there and keep doing it, right? But it all starts with that first key, knowing your number. It frees the mind to negotiate better. It frees our mind to, we're not so afraid to let go of certain opportunities that doesn't benefit us. Very often, if you're a service provider, clients may come and say, look, I'm going to give you exposure, right? I'm going to give you this opportunity to work with us. And all you have to do is give us X number of training for free or X number of service for free. And once we know our survival number, it allows us to make that business decision, go or no go. If it's detrimental to us, no go, right? If it's beneficial, of course, then we can make a decision and go, right? But without knowing the number, having that fear and the imaginary worst case that comes in, for most people, they grasp at straws and they tend to make a lot of bad decisions.
Great. So now that you guys have known exactly why is it so important to know your survival number, Suhu is going to demonstrate to you how to find your survival number. And there's 3 numbers in all. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's a number that you survive, just plain survival, and Suhu is going to contextualize it very well so that there's no mistake about it. And then there's a number that you need to do to maintain your current lifestyle. And there's another number, which is your ideal way. So I'm going to pass the floor right now to Suhu so that he can demonstrate to you. I hope you guys are taking notes. I hope you guys are learning. Go ahead, Suhu.
Thank you. Okay, so one of the first things you want to look at is what is the minimum acceptable level of lifestyle that you are willing to live, especially for those of you who have family, right? What's a minimum worst case scenario? You know, in Malaysia, to be honest, we have good hospitalization plans, right? The government provides very decent hospitals, decent medical care. We actually have quite a good school system, you know. So are you okay with your children going to national schools? Are you okay with going to the government dentist rather than a private dentist? Are you okay with going to the government clinics and hospital rather than private hospital and private clinics? So what's a minimum acceptable level? Because you can easily take out your entire insurance premium from your minimum acceptable level. And that's, for many people, that's a chunk of their income every month. Second thing that you can easily take out is look at your phone plans. If you have one of those fancy plans, those 360 with coverage, like if you lose your phone, the company will buy you a new phone, give you a new phone. You have all of those fancy plans. My question to you is, do you need all of that, right? For me, I don't. I'm currently using U Mobile, 45 ringgit plan a month, unlimited data, because that's all I use, right? I don't really call anyone. I use unlimited data, you know, and it's 45 ringgit a month. So yeah, U Mobile rocks. They're also one of my clients, by the way, so not too bad. Another thing that you can really look at is your Astro plan, right? And some people have Astro and Netflix and iFlix. Do you need that many? You know, some people have fiber internet at home and, you know, data, a very powerful or expensive data plan on their mobile device, right? These are things that you really need to look at. One thing that I know is going to make me sound a bit not a very good son or child is the money that you give to your parents. Because if you're talking about survival, you may need to relook at how much you can give to your parents. All right. The other one is your second car, third car. You know, I know people who have one car for themselves, one car for their spouse, another car for their children, another car on standby. Do you need that many cars? What are the things we can strip out from? There are many things we can strip out from. So one of the things, the first thing you need to do is to write out your existing, your current budget to the dot. Now, when I say to the dot, it means factor in, you know, any annual costs. A lot of people factor in their monthly costs, they forget their annual costs. Annual costs such as your annual renewal of car insurance, for example, your service of your car. You know, all of those are still costs. It doesn't come in immediately. It's like 3 or 4 months later, or 6 months later, or 1 year later. Factor in all of those, spread it out around the 12 months. Those are necessary costs, you know. Look at your holiday plans. Are you holidaying all the time. Well, now everybody's in lockdown, so you can't holiday, but before or after the pandemic, that's another cost. Medical cost, you want to factor in a little bit for medical costs every month, just in case, if you use a government clinics, that's about 5 or 10 ringgit, then it's fine. But if you're on your own, then you want to relook at that. If you have a company cover for your medical already, your clinics already, then you might not need a medical plan, right? Education for your children. A lot of people have planning for their children's future and so forth. But if you're talking about survival right now, I think it's about now, surviving now first, right? So that's the first thing that you want to look at, your exact dollar and cents that you need to spend now, and then take out a red pen, cut it all out. Whatever can be cut out, cut. Whatever can be trim. Okay. Look at your credit card balances. Are you paying minimum balance of all your cards? If you are, you might want to relook. If you can, maybe a refinance of your property to pay off for your card might work. Why? Because the loans on your property is generally lower interest than your credit cards, right? Look at how to reshuffle your debts. If you have money owing, look at all of that, because personal loans, credit cards actually incur a very high interest. All right. So whatever you can trim out until you are left with the bare basics. That's your minimum survival number. Okay. Then of course, because we started with a budget, our current budget, right? And that's your current lifestyle budget.
So at this point, right, one of the things that I was going through when I first encountered this concept was actually two challenges, and both is relating to mindset. And I'm hoping that you can give perspective as a coach, as an NLP intervention expert on how to overcome these two mindset blocks. The first mindset blocks is the fear of even looking at the number. Because one of the things that happened to me, my students, as well as certain friends of mine, when we are going through financial situation, is that we don't want to look at the bill. We don't want to look at the credit card debts. We don't want to look at anything. We just want to look. So what is your tips to overcoming this challenge?
You can avoid it as long as you want, but the more you avoid it, the bigger it's going to get. So you have to bite the bullet. Tell yourself enough is enough, right? This is the last point. And then take out all your credit. That's exactly what I did. Actually, when I relooked at my survival number, I was at a point of suicide. And I just bite the bullet, sit down, wrote down exactly all my budget. I still do it until today. And then the next thing I did was I sat down with all my family members, father, mother, my in-laws, my wife, and I told them exactly the position, because they are involved whether they like it or not, right? And then once they know the position, everybody knows what to do. It's like going into a war, and all of us are going through our wars, right? All of us are going through our financial wars. But the team members in your war, do they know your plan? Do they know what's going on? Do they know whether they got gun, no gun, got bullet, no bullet, right? And if they don't, they are also going through their fear and their anxiety. So I sat down and I told my in-law what I needed from her, what support I need from her. I told my wife what support I need from her. I told my parents what I need support from them. And once everybody's clear of the game plan, it's like, let's go. And that got me out. That got me out of my depression. That got me out of my anxiety. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is, number one, actually having the courage to just
do it.
Yeah, stop bullshitting ourselves and bite the bullet. Just go and do it. And what I've heard as well, which is not explicitly stated, but also to rally the dependents, to rally the people who are dependent on us, because I think one of the things that stops us from looking at it is also the guilt. It's like having to face our dependents and telling them, okay, this is actually the situation. But but it's not just a matter of summing up with courage to look at the numbers, but also having courage to go and tell them that, look, this is the situation. I need some breathing room. If you guys are aligned with that, let's move ahead. Let's charge ahead and solve this problem once and for all. So the next thing is actually
Sorry, Felix, I just want to add something there.
Yeah.
You see, when we rally our support, they need to know the game plan. So we can't, most people make this mistake. They rally for support without the game plan. So it without a plan, it's like telling our family members, I need help. What kind of help? I don't know. I just need help. Right. And it causes even more stress and guilt, actually.
You have to be specific.
But when we know our survival, right?
You have to be specific.
Correct. When we know our survival number, it's a matter of telling them, look, this is the situation. This is where I am right now. This is what I need. This is what I'm going to do. So like with my family, I sat them down and I said, look, every month I need 5,000 a month. My plan to get 5,000 a month is I've got this job offer. It's 5,000 a month. Okay. However, I still need another 15,000 a month to pay off my debts. But worst case scenario, I'm ready to go for bankruptcy if I need to, because I can't think of how to come up with the 15,000. But my game plan is I'm going to do this to overcome that situation. In the meantime, what I need from you all is this. I need you to take care of the kids so I don't have to pay childcare. I need you to provide this so that I can save on that part of the bills. And that's the game plan. So now everybody in their mind, they have a picture. Okay, first they know you know where you're going. Second, they also know, okay, they know what they need to do. That's why we need to sit down and look at all our numbers in order to get that clarity.
So to be real with our dependents, our support, or whoever it is that we're asking for support from, being real with them, being real with the people who are closest to us, and being real with whatever that we do have, and also being real with whatever that we don't have. So what I do have is, this is the plan. This is what I can see so far, and these are the areas which I cannot see and I do not know how. But here's what I'm willing to do, and finally being very, very specific with what you need from them in order for you to move forward with that momentum and start to build that momentum. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay. So the second mental block that I had, which also a lot of people had, it seems to be, is that now we have a whole list of our current expenditures. Now the difficulty of, I have this, and a lot of people cannot verbalize this. They just procrastinate. They end up procrastinating. So is there anything you can say to the people who are like, this is what I'm spending money on, but I can't let go?
Okay, so that one is always the what's the worst that can happen. That's the what's the worst that can happen question. What's the worst that can happen? It's a lot of self-realization that actually the worst that can happen is something that we can accept. And when we can come to acceptance of the worst that can happen, then okay. Like for example, if a person says, what's the worst can happen? I live on the street. Can you accept that? Yes. Okay. And we know this person's bottom line is sleeping on the streets. But if he's a family person, then he may say, look, I can live on the streets, but my kids can't. Okay, then what's the worst that can happen? Worst is we have to rent a room. Okay, can you accept that? Can. Okay, then that's the worst that can happen. Now you know your bottom line.
That's really nice. And that gives a lot of freedom. No more. Well, you have a definitely a strong level of certainty. If this happened, then this. If that happened, then that. So we're not paralyzed. We're not paralyzed by the fear. One of my favorite saying is it's not a positive saying, but it is very true. It hits me because it's very true. One of my mentors once said, most people spend time in inaction, wrong action, or reaction. And if we do not find this freedom number, that's exactly what will happen when resources are running low. So The first step I'm hearing, just to recap, the first step I'm hearing so far is number one, just finding out now, like find out all of the expenses that we are having right now to the dot, right? Factoring in the yearly costs and understanding that everything counts, right? And having the courage to face the fear. So step one, finding out the now. What is the expenditure now? And then step number two is to start trimming out things. Uh, Cut out any stuff which is not essential. Being, how to put it, being strict, having the discipline. This is essential. This is not essential. This is essential. This is not essential, and separating it very, very clearly. Rearrange loans if necessary. So if certain things can be refinanced, if certain things can be whatever it takes to lower down the interest rates and whatever not, do that. And in order to basically look at the things that we can cut out. Sometimes we feel certain things we don't really willing to let go. We just ask ourselves, what's the worst that could happen? And doing this allows us to become free. So is there anything that I'm missing?
So there's another three questions I normally ask about subscriptions, especially if anyone has a subscription, because subscription actually creeps very much into our life without us realizing it. 5 ringgit a month here, 3 ringgit a month there. The first question I always ask is, do you absolutely need it? All right, is it like absolutely necessary? First question. Second question is, did you use it in the last 3 months? And the third one is, do you foresee using it in the next 3 months? If you cut out 10 subscriptions of 5 ringgit, that's 50 ringgit a month already.
Yeah. That's exactly one of the things that I've that last question there, actually the last three questions, what have constantly baffled me was basically the attitude that most people have towards education. Because a lot of people who are watching this, there are many people who needs this, but they don't know this, nor are they looking for a solution for this, right? And sometimes the things that people need in order to make more money is actually just education, right? Learning, it's not about certification, but education, learning the skills, learning the ability to actually go out and make more money. And a lot of times people go like, oh, 500 ringgit is very expensive. 1,000 is very expensive. And they have like running subscription that goes to the tune of 500, 600, 700, 800, 1,000. And they're okay to paying all of those for entertainment, but they're not willing to pay for education, right? So that often really baffled me, and I count myself fortunate, because I think those people who are willing to watch this video so far, they probably don't number among those people, but to my knowledge, there's a lot of people who are like that lah. So with that being said, is there a step 3 that I'm missing out or anything after step 1 and step 2?
Yes. After you finish step 1 and step 2, step 3 is now to plan what you want. Plan the lifestyle that you really want, right? I mean, there's no point getting clear to where we are without having a focus of where we want to go. All right. So step 3 is now plan the lifestyle that you want. What do you really want? Do you want a medical card? Like for me, for many years, I didn't carry a medical card. Although I trained insurance agents for for many years, but I don't carry a hospitalization card because for a large part of my life it was deemed unnecessary, because and I was still at survival. Once I passed that stage, I now have a medical card. I think it's a decent card. My family has their medical cards as well. Why? Because I'm past the survival stage. I am at a stage where I think it is necessary to look at the kind of lifestyle we want, right? So the step 3 is now to plan the lifestyle that you want. I'm able to contribute to my family. I'm able to give more to my children, right? I'm able to give them better lifestyle than they had earlier in their life. So then now it's a time to plan of where to move next.
And that also, I guess, comes very clear because I think a lot of us, especially me as well, in the past, when suddenly there is an influx of money and I didn't know what to spend it on, and there's this thing, right? There's this attitude is I just spend it, right? But it doesn't really give us any more joy than necessary. So yeah, with that being said, planning the life the way we want it, and I think that after survival we have to immediately go into civilization. We can't stay in survival. Yeah, we can't stay on survival all the time. If we keep on thinking, oh, I'm a survivor, then we are doomed to just survive for the rest of our life. We need to go from survival to thrive. So with that being said and that understanding, Suhu, if people want to reach out to you, or if there's anything that that you can that people want to find out more about you, want to work with you, what would be the first step? Is there anything that you can that they can do to get in touch with you?
One of the best ways to get in touch with me is to look for my social media. I'm Suhu Master Trainer in LinkedIn and Facebook. My website is suhu.asia. But what I'm going to do, Felix, for your students is I'm going to offer a new course that I've recently rebuilt to teach people how to set and achieve their goals. A lot of people learn about goal setting, but this is on goal achieving. So I'm going to send you the link, Felix, so that you can share with your students later. And I'm going to make it free for your students for as long as the program's out there. It's the Smarter Goal Achieving Framework, I call it. It has 3 steps. First of all, it's how to set goals better so that we can achieve it. Number 2 is then to identify what are the reasons we're not going for our goals and finding the motivation to go for it. And the 3rd step is actually to plan out and design out what it takes for us to achieve the goals that we want. So I'll send that link to you later.
Beautiful. And I will be putting all of that description in the description below, including links to your social media. Beautiful sharing. I hope you guys have learned a lot today. It has benefited me a lot in my life when I was trying to go from survival to thriving. And in just a short amount of time, it is amazing how a life can change. And Suhu played a huge role in my life in that regard as well. So I hope this has benefited you as much as it has benefited me. And with that being said, any last words, Suhu, before we part ways with the audience?
No, my last words will probably be, I've seen how much you have grown from that conversation we had in your old gym. It's amazing to see how far you have come.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. See you then. Bye-bye.